Have you ever wondered why pirates, real, dangerous, long-dead pirates, still haunt our imagination centuries after their ships vanished beneath the horizon? There is something strangely enduring about them. We picture black sails cutting through moonlit water, gold hidden in caves, a whisper of laughter drifting across a dark sea. Yet behind the stories and symbols lies a history far older, stranger, and more human than the legends could ever show. Before we sail any farther, if you enjoy calm videos like this, feel free to like and subscribe, and let me know where you're listening from and what time it is. I always enjoy reading your answers later in the comments. Piracy stretches across human history like a shadow cast by the sea itself. Whenever merchants dared to cross open water, there were others willing to take what they carried. And so the story begins not with the Caribbean, but with the earliest sailors, people moving along quiet coastlines in wooden boats, discovering that the sea could offer both freedom and opportunity. Long before the world imagined pirates with parrots and rum, the Mediterranean was already a landscape of hidden coves and fast raiders who slipped out at dusk. These early encounters were rarely written down in detail, but their presence lingers in ancient stories, a sign that piracy was woven into the rhythm of maritime life. No flags, no dramatic speeches, just the soft scrape of oars and the instinctive knowledge that the sea was not as empty as it appeared. As centuries unfolded, piracy did not fade. It diversified. Ships grew larger, trade grew richer, and the distance between kingdoms and colonies stretched wider and wider. And wherever a long, vulnerable stretch of sea existed, someone learned how to exploit it. It wasn't only about greed, it was about survival, imbalance, and the strange magnetism of an ungoverned horizon. The ancient world knew this well. Traders moving grain and olive oil, silks and spices, always understood that danger traveled just behind profit. A ship weighed down by wealth was, in a sense, broadcasting an invitation. In those days, piracy was less spectacle and more necessity. A quiet, predictable threat built into the cost of doing business. Even the most successful merchants accepted that some journeys would end not in homecoming, but in disappearance. And as time moved forward, the sea saw new kinds of wanderers. Some were seasoned sailors forced into desperate choices. Others were young men seeking an escape from rigid lives on land. The ocean has always drawn people who felt out of place on solid ground. People who sensed that the horizon offered something their villages and cities never could. To them, even uncertainty felt like a kind of clarity. Raiding became part of the natural rhythm of maritime life. It was unpredictable to those who suffered from it, but deeply predictable to those who lived by it. A ship's silhouette spotted far off at dusk could inspire hope or fear, depending on the set of its sails. And yet, in all this danger, there was a strange quietness, an understanding that life on the sea was shaped as much by silence as by conflict. When empires rose, piracy rose with them. Great powers sent fleets across the world, carrying wealth so immense that it glittered through the cracks of their defenses. And with every wave of expansion came a new wave of resistance. Opportunists, rebels, outcasts, and sailors who had tired of strict discipline and harsher punishments. When wars ended, thousands who had fought for crowns suddenly found themselves without wages, without purpose, without a place in the neatly ordered world. Many turned to the only life they knew, the sea. There is something almost poetic about the way these men drifted from Navy ships to outlaw crews, as if the sea itself did not recognize the difference. A uniform was merely a costume. Loyalty was simply a contract that could expire with the next royal agreement. Out in open water, identity dissolved. A man was seen not as English or French or Spanish, but as useful or dangerous, skilled or reckless, loyal or treacherous. The ocean created its own categories. Deep within the heart of pirate life, a peculiar form of order emerged. Ships were run not by birthright, but by consent. Captains led only as long as the crew believed in them. Decisions were made under the glow of lanterns, with everyone's voice carrying the same weight. In a world ruled by monarchs, these floating communities became accidental experiments in equality. Imperfect, fragile, and often tense, but nonetheless striking for their time. And though this rough democracy has been romanticized endlessly, it had a practical purpose. On the sea, survival relied on cooperation. Greed could sink a ship. Cowardice could doom a battle. Unfairness could trigger mutiny. The ocean tolerated no illusions. It demanded balance, even among thieves. Still, beneath this fragile structure lay the reality of life at sea. Nothing was certain. The horizon offered beauty, but also the knowledge that storms could erase entire crews in a night. Food spoiled, water turned foul, days blurred into nights and nights into days, until time itself felt unanchored. In such stillness, men must have watched the moon's reflection on the water and wondered how such peace could exist beside such danger. And between these silent intervals, tension simmered. A lookout's shout could change the course of a day. A distant sail could mean fortune or ruin. Approaching too boldly could lead to death. Approaching too cautiously could mean starvation. Pirate life was a constant negotiation with uncertainty. And perhaps that is why the stories resonate even now. They capture a version of humanity living on the threshold between risk and possibility. Over the centuries, piracy took different shapes in different seas. In some waters, raiders acted like small navies. In others, they were lone wanderers. Sometimes they were criminals. Sometimes they were tools of kings. But across all these contexts, a common theme emerges. Piracy flourished wherever authority thinned, and wherever the rules of the world felt too heavy to bear. And it is in these gaps, between freedom and danger, between isolation and camaraderie, between survival and ambition, that the deeper fascination lies. The pirate becomes not just a figure of crime, but a symbol of something more nuanced. The human impulse to step beyond boundaries, to question structures, to chase a life unshaped by walls or masters. Of course, the legends soften the edges. They smooth the violence, exaggerate the triumphs, and whisper about treasure as if it were plentiful rather than rare. But the truth is quieter, more complex. Most pirate ships carried far more empty barrels than gold. Most journeys yielded stories rather than fortune, and many who sought glory found only hardship. And yet, the legend endures. Because legends, unlike lives, do not have to worry about food or storms or sickness. Legends float above the past like lanterns on dark waves, illuminating only what we choose to remember. The rest, the hunger, the fear, the long stretches of waiting, sinks back beneath the surface, leaving only the shimmer. Perhaps that is why pirate history makes such a gentle companion at night. It is filled with unanswered questions, silhouettes on the horizon, and fragments of truth softened by time. You can explore it without reaching conclusions. You can drift with it, like a ship guided only by moonlight, knowing that the deeper explanations wait somewhere beyond the next tide. If you enjoyed this short version and you'd like to explore the full explanation, you can now tap the longer video that appears on your screen. And if you already feel sleepy enough, then I wish you a peaceful night. Good night.